All right, so last time we left off, check this out. This is a 1/15th scale LESU. This is supposed to be, yes, bless me, thank you. It sounds like I sneezed. The company that makes it is called LESU. You can check out the link in the video description box down below. This is a 1/15th scale all metal hydraulic wheel loader. Yes, you heard me right. If you're just joining me, this is hydraulic. It has remote locking differentials and a 2-speed transmission as well. We're quite far into the build right now, and you'll see I have decided not to paint the hydraulic rams here at all. The outside housing, I wanted to leave it brass because I'm unique. Why not? I like it that way. And you'll also see that I gave an extended hose here because I had it just a little bit too short, and it would have been cutting through this hole. So if you're building along with me on this model, make sure you give yourself enough length, because if you're just joining us, this is the hydraulic block back here. So each one of these servos opens and closes the valves, which allows the hydraulic fluid to move through the lines to make the whole boom and bucket move. Also, this is an articulating loader, so it will be it has hydraulics in the middle. We covered that in the first few episodes, so if you're just joining us, go back and check that out. This is supposed to be a Liebherr made by a company called LESU. You can see it here, but I actually painted it a DOOSAN orange as well as the dark gray for the DOOSAN loader. I thought, why not? I always do things a little bit outside the box, and yes, I like the steampunk look, so I'm going to mix a little steampunk, a little DOOSAN, a little Liebherr together with a LESU, and this is what we're going to end up with. So what is our next step? I already went ahead and put this plate on it here, just in case the keeners have missed that. All these nice little details that LESU has put on here. I'll also point out that if you saw the last episode, thank you. A lot of you missed the on-screen prompts that I had edited in to say that this could just be flipped over. Many of you had mentioned in the comment section I could just flip this over, because from the factory it seemed like the axle was actually built upside down, but of course the diff cover, once you undid all these hex bolts, could just be flipped upside down and you could have it properly done. A lot of people thought the axle was upside down, but no, my friends, that would not be right, because you would not want to have your remote locking arm close to the ground to get hung up on the rocks or something like that. In fact, it is proper. You can also see the metal drive shafts on the inside. I apologize for the untidiness of my wires, but we're not quite at that area yet. You can see all the inside protection on the hydraulics on the hoses. I'll flip this back over. Here's the pump in case you're just joining us. This pump sits here. It's an outrunner pump. Motor and pump combo right here, and of course this will be the tank that's in here. Shout out to the person that said that I should put a breather tube on here. I will certainly do that, as I know that sometimes you will get a little bit of an overflow from these little machines. Now, when I say little, this guy is short and stout. Should still be high enough to lift into the back of the Volvo rock truck, but enough chit chat. Okay, so the mast is going to have this fulcrum point right here, and then of course the bottom bar for the bucket. All of this is going to line up to the bucket. As we can see here, it's a little bit more completed. So the arm is in the middle with a pin going through the middle. This arm right here for the boom, these 2 points right here, the hinge points, have 2 of those I2 pins that get held in with bolts. Now I know it might look a little bit confusing, but what we're actually looking at here, let me see if this mast, get you guys propped up like this. If I had this right in the middle, now the tolerances on these are fantastic. This is why I did not powder coat it, and I'm so happy I didn't, because even with the spray paint, I have to like use my smooth abilities just to massage it into place. Look at that. Now, do I have a pin that I can use? Sure, let's use this one here. Can I get it all the way through? I thought I had it lined up well. You guys can see better than I can. Can I see it? Yeah. Just a little bit of that paint got in the inside, but I bet you if I added a little wiggle, there we go, slid it into place, and then line it up with that bolt hole right there, which will hold this in place. I love the scale aspects of this model. Like, there are some really cool things about working with a model like this because of the scale detail that's put into it. So I'll put that bolt in. Let me grab one. Let's see. Get out of the way. If I would have powder coated this, man, I wouldn't have been able to have fit any of this together. But what do you want? Do you want like great tolerances, or do you want to be able to powder coat something? I guess we would have a happy medium in there somewhere, hey? I'll have to wiggle that up, give it a little bit of lubrication. I should have did that with the pin anyway. I went in dry. It's never good when it's too dry. While I'm at it, I might as well add a little bit of actual grease to it. That way when I get the pins going through, it's already done. All right, and then the incredible task of lifting this into place. Yes, I know, a modern day Superman. Okay, so there it is. If I sit it there, I can get the next 13 pin in, which is 13.5 millimeters right here. I gotta put the bolts in for these though. Then I'll just lift this out of the way. You guys can see the ends of these pistons right here. They're more of like a coupler, right? Like a U-joint that's going to fit on here. I'll just turn these so they slide over. Try to bring them out a slight bit there. Crazy tolerance. And what I mean is just like, I literally have to scrape the paint off just to get them in there, which I think is a good thing. I think that's going to help prevent against the wear. Some people would say it causes more wear. Who knows? Let me see here. My bolts. I love everything laid out clearly. You may notice a pattern that I do that. Even though I have to put everything away for the week, I'll still lay everything out for me to easily see, because it's just so much more efficient. I know, it goes against everything I normally stand for. But when I'm building a model, efficiency for me is key. Look at this. These are just going to be pins that have an E-clip on the other side. All right, so we all recognized E-clips, right? If you don't, a lot of people will say that they're called Jesus clips, because every time they flip out of your fingers or your needle nose pliers, they're on the floor and you yell it out. But I want to tell you, and maybe you didn't see it in the last episode, this is an awesome tool I use. This is an E-clip tool. I'm going to leave a link to this in the video description box down below. Every mechanic, every RC hobbyist should have something like this. This is a wonderful tool. It actually holds the E-clip for you in a recession. You can see the recessed space there, and it allows you to push it on evenly without it disappearing. Let me demonstrate. Number one, find the right size that you need, and it's going to be slightly smaller than the clip that you have, because as you can see, there's a split in between here where these two pieces are going to come apart to hold it. Boom, just like that. Okay, have a good look at that. It's being held in flush. Now I find the pin that I need. On this, it's a little bit of an awkward angle, so this tool is perfect. There is the area that I have to put the E-clip onto, okay? Watch this. One of my most hated jobs before, but now one of my easiest. Done. Going in for the second one. Done. Everybody should have one of these. Check the video description box down below, and I'll leave you a link so you can find one. They're cheap. Alright, now comes the painstaking process of putting the teeth on and putting in 16 small bolts and screws. Yay! 1.6 size, like super small. Instead, I saved you guys all the trouble and did it off screen. And the crowd rejoiced. They dropped like clicks everywhere. There was so many like clicks I couldn't believe it even happened on a build video. Let's go to the next page. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3 pins, and it should have the bucket in place. Let's see here. 1, 2, like that, hey? Let's pull that ram out. Aha! Now we're starting to get somewhere. Look at this. Beautiful. That's quite a nice reach, too. Yes, and I was right in replacing that short tubing for that top cylinder because it was going to be required. Look at that. Very good. Okay, what's next? Wheels? I've already did that. I'm done. What's after the wheels? God, there was a ton of screws to do these wheels, guys. On each one. Look at this. And you have to Loctite them all. Enter instruction book number 2. Okay. Didn't say I had to switch over. It just kind of gave me a picture of the completed cab area. So this is the checklist of all the parts to make sure I had everything. And then what are we getting into? So we have the frame. We have the back metal piece. And that's going to slide together. And then we're going to start introducing the lights. So this would be a lot easier if I just kind of caught you up to date here. Yes, okay. This frame right here. And then what is that back piece? It was only after a few minutes I'm like, I don't see a piece like that at all. It was one of the windows. No, mine came with a crack in it already. Sucks. I would hope this would have had some film over it. Who left their cell phone on while someone was filming? That's my cell phone. And that's what it looks like when it's in. Dang it. It's too bad, but LESU has pretty darn good customer service. I have fingerprints all over it too there, so I'm sure they'll send me a new one out, no hassle, no problem. But it might add to the authenticity of a loader out in the field. Something scratched it. I don't know. Crack against the glass. Maybe it was too cold outside and the heater was turned on and it basically cracked the glass. That's what I'm going with. It was a rock chip that split. And then there's these little fancy things. You'll notice on the end that they're threaded. These are going to be for the mirrors. And then the windshield. Hopefully we have better luck this time. And we were vindicated. A little bit scratched, but hey, it's just how it's packed, I guess. Not a big deal. So that's cool. It does go into quite a bit of light setup, and I'm not going to be doing that today. I don't have a light controller, so I'm going to skip over this because I'd like to see more of the structure in place. Don't worry, I'm sure I'll go back and do that, but let's go ahead and get this roof on. Just using a couple of M2s. And there is the first, look at the structure. Put the lenses in, of course. Just have to find the mirrors. Haven't seen them yet, but there are a lot of little pieces to go through still. And the light and the roof slide in like that, and then I need the M210s. There's only 4 of these. Come on, focus. There you go. So that gives you enough room to get from the top into the slotted hole down here that's threaded. And so this and this piece clip together, as you can see, like that. I put a bolt on this side and a bolt on that side. Now I have to add one here and on the opposite side making this piece. And what we're doing is kind of assembling the back area of the cab. Look at this. Then we're going to get into these side fins. So this is going to flip upside down like this. Yep. And then I'm going to come over here. Beautiful. This is where the color scheme is really going to come together or where it's going to be a total fail. You guys can decide. No, yeah, and look at this. On the cab, I know you guys are going to be like, oh, you did it again. You put them on the outside, or oh, you hate them, or whatever. But it actually goes along with this very well. And even though you're going to totally be like, what, that doesn't make sense. The handles of the door, look at that. They actually go on the inside. So what they wanted me to do is there is an inset piece of metal here. You can see it's actually seated flush the way it's supposed to be. And then the pin goes in the middle. What they wanted was for me to have it the other way around, still with this piece on the inside, but this piece on the inside, which would have gone on the inside here. But I didn't want to do that. I think the extra brass on there will help the hydraulic rams look so much better. Beautiful. That is looking sharp. Okay, so I always paint my my parts front and back because, you know, if anybody's ever looking at my models, that way they can look at them in detail and see that, yeah, you really did, you know, take some attention to it and, you know, put some time into it. I think that's the coolest thing about the hobby is you can put as much or as little time into it as you want. Okay, so this part over here, looking nice. That is going to set up just under, okay, so if I flip this upside down, just secure that with a M3 bolt. They're very short. I'm not going to use any Loctite on this because the paint itself is going to hold it into place and it's not going to vibrate very much. I'll just set this piece off to the side. Next we get to move on to the caboose. Nice, and we get to take out some of the painting or the plating that I actually left just the silver or chrome color because I think it looks pretty darn cool and will match with the little accents on there. The glue I'm going to use is Instacure from GRA Distribution. Why am I showing you this? Because this is a great glue. It's very runny, but it does dry clear and it's very strong. So I suggest you use it as well. I guess I could have left this bare, but no big deal. Come here, you little beauty. Now I will take you and basically line you up on the back like that. One more piece off the checker plating, except this time it's like more of a like a honeycomb. That's going to go behind here to make the grill look realistic. Aha, I wondered what this little beauty was for. And then the stack. Now look at this. This is a mount for the stack that goes through the back right here. And that's what it looks like installed. And I reach for the air filter. Thread a tiny rod into it, and then in the hole directly adjacent to the exhaust. And then we take over to here, which is like all printed out. It's all metal, pre-painted, of course. Here is the steering column, so we're going to need the steering wheel to go into place there. Everything's individually wrapped when you get it. It's really well done. Just a simple snap in place. It's like a snap lock. Ooh-wee! Look at this beautiful floor plate. We're going to take that. You can't just jam it in there. This ain't one of those things you can just jam in there with force. You want to work it. You want to love it. You want to slide it down the shaft right there. That way you can work your screws right in and make sure it's all completed well. Look at that. My, my. And then if I take this piece and slide it under there, and then this piece, does it also go under? It looks like it does. Hey, not bad. Starting to look like a wheel loader. Okay, so what part do I get to place next? Alright, the back wheel cover's going to take some checker plating here, 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 and here. And so each one of them has a side, so that's easy to do. Okay, so then the two end plates go on here, which is done. If you're going to be doing the lighting, all your lights will go in behind here. It can be routed just like it shows. I'll do that at a later date. Then the wheel wells here. Oh, they're half wheel wells. Two screws, they're going to be the M26s. Where are they? Right over here. These are so nice and metal and nice and light and durable. Get that nice and snug. And I flip the other one around. Bring that in, just like, come on, there it is. Get that screw in. Oh, come on. God darn it. Now, before the cab goes on, I'm going to be careful because it weighs quite a bit. I haven't put any hydraulic fluid in here whatsoever. We'll take this back piece off to the side. Slide it in. Aha, I had to lift up on the wheel well here because it was kind of sticking in the side on either side. But if I roll it back over now, those holes on the bottom will line up and I can cinch it up with a few screws. Enter back in the cab section. So here it is, mirrors installed. Can drop this right down over this, even though I have not done this yet. I'm hoping for the best. Okay, so what am I getting hung up on? That's very interesting how they've done this. So this must go on the outside, that's why. So I'll have to stretch that with 2 hands. Now I'm gonna have to leave you with this beautiful last image because I don't have the radio I want from shipping here yet. But here is basically the completed articulating wheel loader. Look at this. What do you think of the color now, guys? Let me know in the comments section. I do have more electronics to go. This is an easy piece that just slides up and out of the way. It'll be on magnets. I'll have the receiver and the tray that goes across here. Interesting, the handles are on the inside of the door with the completed look here. I love all the orange and the dark gray, looking fantastic all the way around. Let me just put this back here. There we are. This has 2 magnets and 2 posts that it sits on. Here's a top view.
Dinner time.
Oh, is it time? Well, here we go. This is the, what do you think, Jam?
It's gorgeous.
You had a look at it when it was all just pieces.
It looks way better now.
It looks way better now.
Awesome.
Well, there you go, guys. My wife has called dinner time for me. And you know, I'm not going to be late for that. So hopefully you guys like it. Leave me a like, click. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this 1/15 scale LESU articulating hydraulic loader. And we will see you in the next episode of RC Adventures. Now get outside, my friends, and have fun with RC. Or if you're like me, stay inside today and build one. Bye.